This next guest that we are bringing on has one of the most inspirational stories that you guys are probably going to see this year in 2023. Mr. Tarron Hill, who was in jail for a little over 16 years, is now joining us to share his story of inspiration, being reunited with his family, and being a father as well too, and telling us on his experience and how he was exonerated from prison and some of the things that happened while he was in jail. Guys, get ready for another unshakable conversation. I'm going to bring on Mr. Tarron Hill to the stage. What's going on, big boy? What's going on with you, man?
How you doing, bro? How you doing,
Doing
man?
good, man. Doing good. How are you? How are you? Listen, man, I'm happy to have you on the show. Happy to have you here. Listen, I think you have a wonderful story. Your fiance reached out to me online a couple of months ago, and we're excited to make this happen. It started at the top of the year. Here we are, almost halfway through the year, and I'm excited to hear what you got to say and share. So please, man, tell the people who you are. Tell us, a little bit about your story, and let's get into it, man. Let's become unshakable.
Yes, thank you, man. It's definitely an honor to be on here. For me, man, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. When I was 18 years old, I was falsely accused of a crime I didn't commit. Unfortunately, I
Mm,
suffered 16 and a half years in prison. It took that long before I was, fully exonerated. And it's been a struggle, man. One of the most hardest things I ever can imagine possibly going through in my life. Hopefully, I
mm,
never have to experience anything that can match up to that.
yeah,
Um, this the entire journey, man. You get put in these situations, and the last thing on your mind is that it can happen to you. You know,
mm,
anybody,
right,
nobody can never
right,
see themselves in that situation. So
yeah, 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 absolutely. So you from Camden, New Jersey, correct?
yes.
Yeah, so Camden, New Jersey, right here in Jersey, and so walk us through like what was the situation like? Like, how did any of this even come about?
Well, as a teenager, anybody who is familiar with Camden, New Jersey in any way, is an inner city
Hmm.
community. We
Mm,
surrounded by liquor stores on every corner, drugs being sold on every other corner, and
mm,
I grew up around. I had a bunch of friends growing up. Their older
mm,
brothers sold drugs. My uncles sold drugs. Cousins sold drugs. Everybody. So all my friends at young ages became a product of our environment. We started out.
mm,
A few of our moms fell victim to the streets. Fathers nowhere to be found, and we just started out hustling, man, selling our little weed, selling our little drugs, to get fresh, get fly, go to
hmm.
school,
Right.
flash a little couple of hours for the ladies, at those teenage
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
And unfortunately, a night happened when I was 18 years old. It was a barbecue going on, and two innocent women got hit, man. Two innocent women got
Hmm.
hit. It was actually September 25th, 2004.
Hmm.
It was at midnight. Um, December 1st, I was arrested. December 1st, so it took
Hmm.
like a little over a month, to them to come and arrest me.
Hmm.
Um, this what happened that night. I was with a female friend of mine. We were reacquainted from childhood. We went to the same middle school together. We reconnected during the month of September, actually, and this particular
Mm.
night was our first time hanging out. I mean, so she
Wow.
yeah, she went to my place. We watched the movie. Later on that evening, my brother, some friends came in and they said that somebody was shooting around at the barbecue, and somebody
Hmm.
got hit. Next day, I come out, same thing, regular in the neighborhood, and finding out what happened, I found out two women had got hit. One of them actually died that night.
Mm.
Um, the next day, I heard it was a rumor saying I did it, and
Really?
yes, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to feel. It was like
Wow.
I'm like I didn't pay no mind though. If you like I said, if you're familiar with the inner city communities, is a rumor. You like what
Absolutely.
do you do? Anybody who asks me, I'm like, yo, I was at home. I didn't have nothing to do with that, and I went about
Right.
my normal days. Like I said,
Mm.
a little over a month later. No, actually, exactly a month later, I was picked up for questioning. October
Mm.
27th, 2004, I was picked up for questioning. I ain't got nothing to hide. I told him, listen, I heard my name was associated with the crime. I was hopefully waiting for somebody to come question me or anything. I told him I was with a female friend of mine that evening. I gave them
Yeah.
her contact information. They actually went and spoke to her. They went and spoke to her. Her story
Mhm.
verified mine, and I'm
Mhm.
thinking I ain't got nothing to worry about. Like,
Right.
yeah, months some change later, they came and locked me up and charged me.
Wow. Wow. So is it one of those situations where they couldn't find who actually did it, so they had to pin it on somebody? Or, because you hear this type of stuff and everything all the time, but, you're 18-year-old kid, man, like, at this point, graduating high school, probably getting ready for the next phase of your life and stuff like that, and then everything, changes. Like, what's going through your mind when they're coming to pick you up?
Well, I was a familiar face around the neighborhood. I was born and raised in, like I said, Camden, New Jersey. We was particularly from the Pollock Town area. A lot of my family grew up in this town. It was like family oriented. So I
Mm,
was familiar with the neighborhood, the area, and I found out later that it was an eyewitness, and she just mistaken me for that individual,
mm.
and that's how my name got in the mix.
Wow, wow, wow. So let me ask you a question, man. Like, 16 years is a long time. Like, that's, pretty much all your adult life at this point
Yeah.
right now, And so you were recently released in July of 2021, correct?
Yes, July 9th, 2021.
2021, new life, new standards, new level of thinking, new
Yes.
you, all this, in your time, in prison, what was that like? What is something that you would tell some of the younger guys that are probably in there right now, or maybe, someone may be hearing this and they may be in a situation in their life right now. What is something that you would tell them out of your 16 years of experience being locked up?
To think about your actions. Think about your
Mm,
actions. A lot of times, especially growing up in those inner city communities, we kind of think that what we're doing may not be as bad and might not
right?
lead to any heavy, penalties and things like that.
Mhm.
But you can't think like that. I tell my little nephews and nieces and little brothers now, like, yo, I wasn't no bad kid. I wasn't out there
Right.
robbing, shooting. I wasn't out there doing none of that stuff. But
Absolutely.
but it can happen to you. It
Mm.
can happen to you.
Wow.
We always compare, like, little Ronnie or John out here robbing, shooting, killing. I ain't
Right.
doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we
Right.
we kind of think that they out there living and having these long stretches of being free or whatever, like living their lives, but you can't compare yourself to none of that, man. You got to
Nope.
really think about your decisions. You got to really try your best to better your situation, no matter what your circumstances are.
Right. Right. And it's crazy, man, because I have these conversations all the time with people, and I oftentimes say, you know, evaluate your circle like your life depends on it. Because it does, right? And the reality is, in your situation, that holds true because your life depended on, the people that you surround yourself with, and things in that nature. What's the, how do you express that to a young man or a young woman who may feel that, okay, these people are my friends, these people are my family, these people, but at the same time, there's rumors going around saying that you did something that you didn't do. So how do you explain that to you know, at their level on where they're at today?
It's difficult, man, because when you put yourself in their shoes at 16, 17, 18, you think you know it all. Your
Right.
parents telling you
Of
stuff,
course.
mom, you old, dad, you old, you don't know what
Right.
you talk about. Oh, your father, your mother, them guys ain't your friends. You don't know what you talk about. That's my bro, that's my brother, all these things that we, say in those neighborhoods. And later on, as an adult, obviously you could look back and you could see it as clear as day. But
Yeah.
when you in those moments, it's really tough, man. So I just try to tell anybody, particularly in my family, to use me as an example. Use
Mm.
me an example,
Yes.
and I didn't have that. I didn't have that. I didn't
Right.
have no positive role models. That was a consistent factor in my life. That's something I didn't
Mm,
have. So I try to be that to them, and let them know, listen, I'm always here for you. I'm one phone call away.
amen. Yeah.
Whenever I'm in town visiting things like that, I try to spend time with them and just talk to them and just get them to see like is a better
Yeah.
way, man. And,
Yeah.
and for the most part, a lot of them didn't fall victim to things that I did when I was a kid and stuff like that. So it may
Mhm.
have been working out, but for a lot of the other ones who don't have those type of examples, it's hard for them, man. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I tell my son, so I got 5 children,
Okay.
19, 14, 9, 6, in 4 months, right? And my oldest son, I tell him all the time, especially during, young men, 14 years old, you know how I go. And they like you said, they think that that we don't know or we too old and things of that nature. I tell them like, listen, I've been 14, you ain't been 39. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, don't don't get it twisted. Like I've been where you at. And sometimes it's that constant reminder. And I get it to the parents out there. Let me just say this to the listeners, guys. I want you guys to understand something, right? And hear what me and Tarron are saying. What we're trying to get through to you is understand that sometimes, as especially as a parent or an elder or a younger adult, I want you guys to understand the aspect of sometimes it's okay to play the bad guy. Sometimes it's okay to play, the person that is, um, you know, that's going to say the thing that is, that goes against the grain a little bit and not appease to the itching ear necessarily, right? We want to make sure that what we're saying holds true. What we're saying holds firm. What we're saying is going to help them, not hurt them at the end of the day. And they may not want to hear it. They may not want to hear what it is that we have to say. But the fact is that if we continue to plant those seeds daily, right? Eventually the grass is going to grow, the harvest is going to be here, and they're going to reap exactly what it is, and it's a great harvest at the end of the day. That's all we really want. That's all we could really ask for. But we can't stop just because they may not be listening or they're with the in crowd and things in that nature. So Teron, like you've got a few children and everything yourself, and are they're aware of your situation? They're aware of what happened. How do they feel about what happened to dad?
Yes, well, when I was arrested, I was a brand new father. My daughter was exactly 34 days born. I had my daughter.
Really?
Yes, I had my daughter October 28th, 2004. I was arrested
Wow.
December 1st, 2004. So
Wow.
imagine that. I spent her entire life in
Her
prison,
entire life.
and
What?
one of the hardest things for me in prison was trying to pick up the
Right.
phone and give my baby girl advice on um life,
Mm,
boys, issues, teenage girls, they growing up, they feeling themselves. Same thing with boys with their fathers, her and her mom having little issues. Listen, your mom mean you well. And just to piggyback off what you just spoke on, and I tell my mother and father today, like, y'all knew better. We don't know better. So
right.
it is your duty to be a little stern and harder on us, because while we sitting there and blocking y'all out and telling y'all that y'all don't know, what y'all doing, y'all gotta put that extra push behind it. Like, yo, like, this is
Right.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's very important. But my
Wow.
daughter, yeah, my 18-year-old, she just she graduates next month. My
Okay.
fiance and I, the family, we flying out to see her off. I just popped up on her for her prom, which is a big moment. I mean, surprised her on that, and it's just
Amen.
big. I have a 8-month-old, so I'm a brand new
Hmm.
father as well. So seeing her 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, that's I missed all
Yeah.
those months, with my daughter, my
Right.
first, and then obviously being she has a 9-year-old, so being a part of her life as well. I'm a girl dad, man. I want a son
Yeah.
bad, but a girl dad gives you a different sense of humility and appreciation for life, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I got one girl and 4 boys, so pray for me, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right, right.
Cause my boys be running amok sometimes, man. But that's so good, man. Like, man, I can't imagine um, your firstborn and what she was going through mentally, what she was going through emotionally, not having her father physically there day to day, right? And I get it because like my first two they're not biologically mine, but they mine, right? And I can understand how they feel sometimes where, their father is in their life and everything, but it's not, day to day,
Right.
obviously, you know what I mean? But so I can imagine how that feels. And me personally, just a little bit of my background, I grew up, with both my parents, but when I was 10 years old, my mom and dad, they made decisions to, for their job to make sure that the household was taken care of. So my mom worked halfway across the country in Missouri. My dad was in the army. So I saw my parents like every, 2 to 3 weeks from the age of 10 to like 17.
Right.
So it's hard to, when you're a kid and you just want your parents around, you just want mom there, you just want dad there, like in every moment possible, because these moments you don't get back at all. You just can't, like, there's no way that you can go back into time and and redo those moments. And I'm pretty sure that if anybody could, they probably would, maybe change a couple things or whatever about, just to get the experience, right? But now that you are out, what has life been like since you've been out?
Difficult, man. Difficult. Like
Yeah.
me coming home. I like when I probably like when I knew I was coming home.
Hmm.
Just to speak on that, I wasn't granted relief from a court, necessarily. I
Okay.
lost all my appeals. I went to these courts. I'm begging, I'm pleading. I got the wrong guy. They kept denying me, denying me, denying me, which is a feeling of getting found guilty all over again.
Mm.
So in 2019, New Jersey's governor Phil Murphy and at the time Attorney General Gruber Gruwall, they started a unit called the Conviction Review Unit, and it works kind of like an innocence project. And they take cases of actually innocent claims and they review it. And if they determine that you're innocent, then they let you go. And they had over 500 applications. They accepted my case. I am their first exoneration in New Jersey.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah,
congratulations.
thank you.
See, this is what I'm talking about, everybody. Everybody in the chat, listen to this real quick. This is what I'm saying. Y'all got to understand that there's a level of resiliency that you've got to have in order to go and get what you want and go to that next level. And Tarron here is displaying like, listen, you got the wrong guy. When you know that you're innocent, when you know that you didn't do it, when you know, like, are you going to accept the rejection as your reality, or are you going to take that rejection and say, rejection, I'm going to bury you, because the truth is going to be shown at the end of the day, no matter what? And that's what I'm saying, man. Like, that's what I love about your story, man, is because you show, and that's what this show is all about. We're trying to get people to understand that in your personal growth, in your professional growth, in your faith, in your family, in your leadership, and whatever it is that you do, that you've got to live a life of being unshakable. And that's what I love about the fact that you displayed something that is so, not only heartwarming but motivational and inspirational, that you just didn't give up, because most people give up after a certain time. You didn't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, and that's a great point. I've
Mhm.
been around guys who was, like I said, for one, going to prison and you innocent, and for you to actually run into other innocent men in prison, like I said, we don't think it happens. But
Mm.
guys really like that feeling of rejection from the courts, them telling you we're not letting you go. Like that feeling is a feeling of defeat. And you
Right.
really got to pick yourself up. I'm talking about there's plenty of times I call home crying. My mom, like, listen, they denied me. Like, how? It really is hard to understand.
Mm.
And one thing I never allowed to settle in is that me giving up. Me
That's right.
giving up. I knew I was
Amen.
coming home. I didn't know when, I didn't know how, but I knew I was coming home. And
Awesome.
I continued to push. I continued to write letters. I'm talking about lawyers, like innocence projects, judges. Like I'm innocent. Please just take a look at my case. And it eventually, broke through.
Wow. Wow. That's so, it's so inspiring, because, again, so many people give up. So many people give up after the first month, after the second month, after the third, and they end up saying to themselves, they're never going to get me out of here. They're never going to see it. And you know what? For those people that do say that, you're right. Because if you continue to have that mentality, that's just what it's going to be. But if you continue to sit there and say, I'm innocent, I am great, I am amazing. I am like those words of affirmation, although cliche, although it may seem corny, the reality is if you keep telling yourself that you're going to get there, you're going to get there. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing on the outside because you don't know their story. You don't know how long it took for them to get to where they at. So continue to keep pushing, continue to keep growing. Tarron, I want us to continue to move the conversation a little bit here. Now, we talked a little bit earlier before we went on the air and that you are getting married, right? You got the fiance, so I wanted to see if your fiance is around, if she wanted to come on real quick just to share a little bit of how you guys got together and bring her on. Is she close by?
Yeah, she's close by. Babe, come here, please. Yeah, she's coming out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Miss
that's
Hill.
yeah. Yeah, she all her girlfriends, they think when the wedding, when it's gonna be, make sure you let us know. So
Uh-huh.
they pressuring me.
That's right. That's right. Listen, ladies will do that to you. They will put the pressure on. They
Yes.
will put the pressure on. They will put the pressure on. Awesome. So we have, ladies and gentlemen, we have Tarron and Leticia that are joining us right here on the Unshakable Conversation podcast. Leticia,
Hello, how are
how
you?
how how are you? Good to see you in person,
Thank you.
somewhat virtually. But please go ahead and share your beautiful story on how you guys connected together, how you guys came together. I'm sure the world would love to hear because it's not every day that you have a story like yours and someone like yourself that's sticking by your man and when he comes out and waiting for him.
Right. Okay, so how should we start this? Because I actually wasn't there when he came out.
Okay.
Um, we were basically childhood crushes. I
Mm.
came from the household with a strict parent,
Mm-hmm.
Spanish mothers, they don't play.
Yep.
So my mom was really strict. I could barely have male friends. If I did, they couldn't walk me home. I couldn't hang out. Meanwhile, I had two brothers. So, of course, I was around their friends, but they were younger. I'm the oldest. So, when I was about 15, maybe 15 or 16, that's when we kind of officially met. I always had a crush on him, but of course, coming from a strict home, I couldn't express that except see him, say hi, sneak to the corner. He'd walk me home from school, but we literally had to stop at the corner, and he could not literally walk me down the block. um,
Yep.
it was that kind of thing. I wasn't allowed to have male friends, so
Wow.
that was the only way we could communicate. The only way we could have a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then maybe my senior year, we didn't see each other much. Again, I still had a strict mother,
Mm-hmm.
so eventually we lost contact. I would
Mm.
see him here and there, you know, in the neighborhood, but my senior year, I didn't see him much. Little did I know, that's when everything was happening.
Wow.
So, college came around. I left to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
That's originally how I ended up, you know, eventually wanting to come back to North
Mm-hmm.
Carolina because that's where I went to school. I did a few years in school and always wondered whatever happened to him, whatever happened to him. Every time I came home, I used to, drive by my old neighborhood. I still couldn't find him. I never ran into him. And, years later, sad to say, I began to believe maybe he passed away. Maybe I
Mm.
didn't find out. I was in college. I was in North Carolina, so how would I have known? If something did happen to
Right.
him. I started assuming that. Yeah, I just assumed he had passed. So, uh, a few weeks after I moved. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, a few weeks after I moved, I began um having a better relationship with family.
Mm.
And one of my brothers, who actually knew that he was alive and knew about his
Mhm.
story and what was going on, he ended up telling me, like, guess what? Guess who's coming home? Well, he was actually talking to my mama. And I was like, just being a nosy big sister. So, we're only there's 12 of us all together. But the first four are my mom and dad's kids. So we're all
Uh-huh.
back to back. So my brother's only a few
Wow.
years younger than me. So majority of the time, I know his friends, you know. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming maybe one of his friends that he hasn't seen in a long time is coming home. I never assumed it was going to be Tarron. So,
Wow.
you know, back in the day, we used to call him Peanut. That was our neighborhood name. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, he's like, guess who's coming home? So I'm just being nosy on the phone and I'm like, who's coming home? Who's coming home? And when my brother said Peanut, because of course, again, that was all of our nickname for him. I couldn't believe it. I was
Mhm.
like, Peanut? Like my heart sunk. I got a dry throat. I was just like, what is going
Here come the
on? You know,
butterflies, all of that.
absolutely. So I made my mom give my brother the phone, and I had a whole conversation for about half an hour with him about, you know, I didn't even believe it. I had said, send me the article. I gotta see his face. I'll only know if I see his face if it's really him. And
Yeah.
yeah, sure enough, Teron was coming home that same.
I
Did
came
you
home
came?
that
Yeah,
day.
I think he
Yeah.
came home if not that day, and I still didn't believe it. So I told myself, I'm gonna find him. I'm gonna find him, even if I just
Wow.
say hi. You know, will he remember me? Everything was running through my mind because even though I remembered him, it was 16 and a half years. So would
Yeah.
he remember me? You know, or was it just a semi crush? And you know, he totally don't remember who this girl is. So I ended up finding him on Facebook. You know, I did my
Mhm.
research. You know, women, we when we want to find something, we
Uh-huh.
gonna
When
find
you
it.
want something,
So,
y'all gonna go dig and get it.
yes.
Yes.
So I found him on Facebook. And I went through the page and I realized it was a new page. So I said, okay, this must be his new page. I'm gonna just start with a hi. I was so nervous, and I don't know why because I was like, he can't see me, you know, physically. So why am I so nervous? And when he wrote back, he responded, just saying hi at first, you know, the normal hi and bye, and then
Yeah.
I asked, did he remember me? So clearly, him not knowing social media, he didn't realize if you click the button, you can see multiple pictures. So my original picture, which I thought I looked the same as, you know, I normally do, it wasn't big enough for him. So his first response was, "Are you Spanish?"
Are
was,
you
"Are you
serious?
Spanish?" Yes,
Yeah.
because my name says Tish, you know, and my photo to me looked just like me. But I was like, he doesn't remember you. Just leave it alone. He doesn't remember you. Don't worry about it. So I responded back and I was like, yeah, you know, I was like, it's Tish. I used to live in Pola, you know, where we originally met. And
Right.
then his response was like, do you know how long I've been looking for you? And
Wow.
I was like, blah, blah, whatever. You just told me that you didn't remember me. You asked, was I Spanish? Like, how could you remember me? You know? And
Mhm.
then he responded back with personal information like, you have two brothers, you know, you used to live with your mom, you know, the street I used to live on, that kind of thing. And I was like, okay. Okay, he knows who I am because you know he went more in depth versus like a straight, you know, like sure I know who you are, and
Yeah.
yeah, we just went from there. You know, I had to explain to him, you click the button, you can see multiple pictures of me, you know, are you
Yeah.
sure this is who it is? That kind of thing. And then we went from there and here
That's
we are.
beautiful.
Yeah, here we are.
Wow.
Years.
Wow. Wow. That's so amazing. Well, first you had to give him a whole social media rundown real quick, crash course on
Yeah.
social media, because a
Yes.
lot happened in 16 years from 2004, you know, to now. And wow, that's so amazing that, you know, you guys, you know, like connected after. And Teron, I'm pretty sure like it just sounds like, you know, you had her on your mind while you was locked up and everything. You was like, I'm gonna find this girl like one way or
She,
the other. But
she was one of the ones that was like the good girl that got away. If I wonder what she's
wow.
doing. I always thought about her
Mm,
over the years. Always tried to reach out and see if I could find her. I can never find her.
And I didn't know
wow.
his real name
His full
because
name.
you know in the neighborhood we say nicknames and that's it, you know, nothing more
Yep.
nothing less. So I never knew what to find, what to search, what name to put in, you know, how could I find him. So it was more
It's
so like
beautiful.
when my brother said Peanut, I knew it was my Peanut because
Wow.
that was our nicknames when we were younger.
Yeah. And that's so good because it's like you guys have each other. You guys always had each other from the beginning. It's like you kind of like already knew that this is the one. When you know that this is the one, this is the one. And I want to like spin off of that really quickly, like for the couples that are out there, right, that may feel like they may be confused or they may be back and forth, right? What type of, message would you give them when they know that this is the one, to encourage them to go for that and don't settle for anything less?
Hmm. I'd say never give up, and
Mm,
that can go actually be both ends, because he was just a crush, the crush that I knew stay away from. My mom won't even let me say hi, and then the fact that I continued to think about him, I knew
mhm.
it had to be more, because I would come home from my college visits and literally find myself going to that same block where I would assume one day I'm gonna run into him, even if it's just passing by. And I go to the
Yeah,
corner store, and I go to that area, and I'm like, how can I not have ran into him for so many years? So then
yeah,
when my heart starts thinking, okay, settle for, you know, it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna see him. Maybe something did happen to him. It never crossed my mind that it was
yeah,
prison. It was just more so I was in college. Maybe it happened
yeah,
then. I'll never know, but I was just
yeah,
focused on maybe one day I'll run into him.
yeah. And what were your thoughts like when he got out and he told you the story and what happened? Like, what was your mentality like with him?
Honestly, I was nervous.
Yeah,
Somebody doing, that much time. You don't know
yeah,
who this person is anymore. You don't know if they are traumatized. You don't know if they need help. I always have felt like I'm a healer. Whenever I meet somebody, even if it's a friendship, like I'm always the go-to person. I'm always the psychiatrist. I'm always the therapist. So a part of me was like, I still want to run into him just in case it's just for us to talk. He might just
yeah,
need a friend. But the other half of me was like, but what if he feels how I feel? I've never mentioned it.
right.
I never had the opportunity to really date him. So I
Mm,
was just like, I'm gonna go for it. At that time, I had just moved to North Carolina within 2 weeks. So
mm,
I didn't think it was gonna turn into something. I just
mm,
assumed, even if it's a friendship that I've yearned for so many years, that maybe we could just be friends. And my daughter coincidentally happened to have a fashion show coming up in a few days, and we went to New Jersey for the show, and
mhm,
that's when I surprised him, and like I didn't let him know that I was gonna come see him. And then I was just
mm.
kind of like talking to him the entire ride to his house where he was staying.
Wow.
I was just having a convo. Not once did I mention like I'm on my way to see you, until I was actually
Mhm.
there. Then when I pulled up, I was
That's
like, "Hey, come outside."
wow, wow. She got you. She reeled you in, bro. She
Mhm.
put the hook on,
But
reel that thing
me,
right.
for me, she's definitely have been a big part of the healing process, because
Yeah,
me coming home, like I don't have no friends. Like I left a
right.
lot of, like, Camden was in my rear view. I said,
Yep.
this is the city that done me wrong. A lot of my past friends, even like a lot of family members, like they abandoned me. Like they left me for dead.
Wow.
They counted me out, everything. So I knew that me coming home, I had to really, really start fresh.
Yep.
And running into her definitely was a blessing, because she helped begin that process. And
Wow.
which is why I proposed to her, and we looking forward to that wedding.
Yes.
Get that ring, bro.
Yes.
Get that,
Get
get
the ring.
that, get
Lady.
that. Yes, yes. Get that band on and everything. Tie that thing up. That's
Right.
so amazing. Listen, guys, thank you so much for coming on, the Unshakable podcast and truly sharing your story with us. And I really want to end this off on another good note, on a positive note. For anybody that's out there, whatever they're going through, whether it be in a relationship, whether it be in their faith, in their finances, in their parenting, what is something that you guys would share or say to them, right, to keep going and keep pushing, to remain unshakable no matter what happens?
I say communication.
Mm,
Communication is number one in our household. And
yeah,
he's actually taught me to how to communicate a lot better. I used to
yeah,
shut down. I used to be upset. I
wow,
used to, angry at all times. And he's actually helped me learn communication a lot better. So I'd say
Wow.
keep communication open, and be honest, and try your best to communicate with the opposite person, and both point of views, not just staying in your point of view.
That's right. That's right. Get those communication habits in your system. Now, for those, Leticia just brought up a great point. Listen, make sure you guys go ahead and click on the link below because I have a free course to help you elevate your mindset. And we talk about those communication habits in that lesson as well, too. Communication is key. So listen, guys, thank you so much for coming on. Where can everybody find you guys at?
My name Tarron Hill on all my social media platforms. If you Google it, it also give you access to all my platforms as well. So that's the easiest way to find me.
Yes, and I actually
Awesome.
made us a family page. So if you go on Instagram or if you go on TikTok, it's Over the Hills, Hills with a Z.
Beautiful.
It's our family page.
Beautiful.
Follow our journey.
That's right. That's right. Over the hills. Let's go, y'all. Let's go. When we change the mind, we change the game. Listen up, everybody. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the show. If you guys want to hear more, go ahead and make sure you guys go ahead and check out Over the Hills, their family page, because you guys know we're all about faith, family, and leadership here. Continue to make sure that you guys are unshakable in everything and all that you do, no matter what. All right. So listen, when we change the mind, y'all, we change the game. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow will worry about itself. And today is all you have. And if today is all you have, you guys make sure that you do today the best way that you know how. We love you guys. We'll see y'all next time on the Unshakable Podcast. Talk to y'all later.
Thank you.
Peace.
Thanks for
Thank
having us.
you.